Hello, everybody, and welcome to another chill Sunday Staxel stream. How's everybody doing today? I'm just gonna wait a few minutes for people to make their way in. I'll throw up the notive on Twitter, so if anybody's over there that wants to join, they can. Mhm. Hello, Em, and welcome. How are you this lovely Sunday? Okay. Now up on Twitter. Of course, Staxel wants to have a lull in the music right now. That's cool. Pour myself some tea. Howdy, Zero. How are you today? Oh, I'm glad I'm able to provide the warm weather. It's a warm welcome. Sorry. The weather is a little too hot and that definitely hit me. I actually have my AC going, so I hope that's not audible in the background. I'm hoping. But if it is, let me know. I'm doing pretty all right. Music is so chill. Feels good to be doing this. Apologies again for missing out on last week's stream. I had a low-grade fever from getting the second dose of vaccine, and I was just not up for it. The first one I missed since I started them. So. But I'm glad we're able to get right back into things this week. So today I want to work on the other wing for the base ship. Since that first wing came out so wonderful, this one I'm going to angle down instead of sideways since it's like docked on that side. So I'm kind of thinking about how to do it. And the good thing about that is I don't need to make it entirely symmetrical because I don't think I could fully do that. Second thing is I want to see if we can get some furniture for the ship. I've been talking about that for a few weeks, and it just hasn't happened. And as the topic of this week, I would very much like to talk about what reopening will look like for you, all of you out there. In terms of the economy's opening, whether there's a pandemic or not, so what are your hopes? What are your aspirations? What type of things do masks. Masks are important, yeah. But like, what type of things are you hoping to see maybe different, similar? What parts of the old normal do you want to keep? What do you want to change? Like, these are some of the questions that I'd like to see people kind of mull over for themselves. Mifune, welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing pretty okay today. I know you got your vaccine also, and we're kind of buddies with me in terms of our mutual suffering. Kind of glad I wouldn't have gone on stream and then passed out, right? That would have been bad. I'm just glad I'm through all of that. Jalix, welcome. Glad to see you here. How are you doing today? Just give people another maybe minute and then I'll get into the game. There are game streamers who just sleep on stream. Is this for real? We beat the vaccine because we're some badass libertarian warriors? Heck yeah. Libertarian socialists, right? Not that, fake right-wing libertarian stuff. There would have been people who watched that just... How do you watch somebody sleep? That's kind of weird to me. Ah, let's make our way in. Maybe they switch around in their sleep and mumble a lot. Maybe. I don't think I'd make for very good viewership if I was sleeping. Hey, Basecat. Basecat's like, hi, I brought you reality. You feel too vulnerable to sleep around strangers? That makes sense to me. Oh, sorry for that. I need to just move this over so I can see chat a little better. There we go. Now it's not hidden behind my microphone, so I'm like dodging behind my microphone. I will take one reality, please. Indeed. Basecut has to be the first thing that we see. There are apparently streamers who actually only sleep on stream. You have to investigate. Sleeping Mifune would be horrible for viewing. I would be drooling all over the place, not sexy at all. Yeah, I feel the same way, Mifune. I would just be like... It sounds like some stalker type stuff. I feel like it does. Look at this wing, though. This is what we did most of last time. We can see it zoomed out. Apparently, and some people can donate money to play loud noises. If I knew all I had to do was sleep. Man. Here I am trying to make content and play video games and talk politics with you all, and I could just sleep on camera? The arc of Base Cat is indeed mighty. So, with that said, I put it right below the anchor and went up a little bit. So this wing on this side, I want to kind of angle downward. So instead of it having it come out like the same way, since it's docked on this side with the tower here, I'm thinking have the wing kind of bend like in an arc downward so that it looks like it's in a docked position. So the only thing I really want to make symmetrical is the way the wing attaches. One, two, is one, two. Okay. I'm actually kind of behind on my projects because there's no stream for last week. So without me streaming, you didn't get your projects done, Em? I'm so sorry. See, the vaccine broke the entire system. That right? 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. 3, 2. 3, 3. 2, 3. Is that correct? So this should be like 1, 2, 3 away from. Nope, something's wrong there. Yeah, that's good enough. If it's gonna angle down, it doesn't have to look exact. M is our resident Garrick. constantly working as a simple tailor. Oh no, if I could copy and paste, that would be kind of amazing. But I also do want to do something different with this. A tailor in training, quite simply. Indeed. Indeed, Jaguar. And I'm sure your skills are highly specified. It really would. Your skills are merely simple hobbies. Indeed. So if the wing is folded, it's gonna kind of be like hunched up, so I'm kind of trying to make that upward angle right now. So like that's the part where the wing would kind of like arc up before going down. and also expanding outward. Let's see. People always do things that are enjoyable or are productive without incentive from competition. There's the up part. You know, that reminds me of that meme where it's like, why are they farming without profit models or incentive or whatever? Does everybody know what I'm talking about or no? I agree with you, Jalix. A lot of it is they found a system that works for them and they need to justify it after. I think you did a lot of... I think at least you and someone else has posted that on the Discord, Jalix. Let me see if I can find this meme. I'll pull it up super quick. Here it is. Let me switch screens over. There we go. That's the meme, M. Why are they farming with no profit incentive? It's almost like people need to eat or something and communities exist. Let's do that. This music is so chill right now. With the rain and everything. I am absolutely loving this. Hey Duke, welcome. Also, I need to catch up with chat. I just got so in the zone with making this wing. The wing zone, indeed. Okay. Finish this up and I will go scroll up in chat and see what y'all have been saying. Oh yeah, that's doing the exact effect I wanted. Where it looks like the wing is folding down on itself. Trying to gauge how far down it should go. But while I think about that, let me go back to chat and see what you all have been saying. I went to drink from my teacup and there was no tea in it. Thankfully, I have a teapot to fix that problem. Only works for people at the top. Yeah, and well, justification is probably that everything will fall apart without the broken system. True. I like how the stone peeks through the edges. It really gives it a sense of depth. That's the thing I like about these wings as well, Jalix. I very much have enjoyed having that like popping effect to make it look like the feathers are actually there, as opposed to it just being a block of white that's kind of, I feel like, missing the point. The sounds are so ASMR. I'm assuming you're talking about the rain sounds in the game, David. She has to remind me to eat healthy things, or else I just don't really eat. I'd be lost without her. Aw. That's really sweet of your wife, Zero. She bought you some apples. Healthy eating that exists. True. First one to grow, then you eat it, that's about it. Also true. Duke is resident chef. Did Duke make something? Did I miss that? Making pasta. Excellent. If it weren't for those wings, I would find it quite implausible that the ship would be flying. Are you going off a reference image for the wing or anything? No. No, I'm not. I'm just kind of going off of how I imagine that a wing would look, and kind of just going off of that. And honestly, now it's just a matter of expanding this downward. One could say Terra is winging it. Zero, your pun is amazing. I am indeed winging it. Duke, that's good food. Don't spit it out. Mifune, you're craving candy apples. I have not had candy apples in, I don't even know how long. M says I started to sew and heard the pun and started laughing so much. I started to look on screen to see who made the pun. Same here, they don't make them like that up here like where I grew up. Would you prefer head cook just because you're making things because it's cheaper? Don't knock it. That's one heck of a skill there for sure. True. Cooking is always an important skill, no matter where you are. Someone will always need someone to cook. And I have met people in my life who could not boil water. And that's a slight exaggeration, but not entirely. And I don't mean that like in a disrespectful way to the people involved. They were quite intelligent in many other ways, but they just struggled with anything kitchen related. I imagine candy apples aren't super complicated, just have to be careful working with boiling hot sugar. Sugar is horrifying when it's boiling. Like it gets hotter than water and sticks to your skin. I mean, a lot of people actually use that in, like a hot sugar mixture to, well, wax their legs. Like, it's not exactly just sugar, but you'd mix something like that and apply it not super, super hot, but hot enough to your legs, and use, like, strips of cloth to remove the sugar, and it pulls and yanks the hairs out. This is not me advocating that anybody try this at home. I just know that there are people who do this. Your girlfriend doesn't eat your cooking, Duke? That's sad. Oh no. Oh, wow. What's going on with chat? Why I would never wear long sleeve. You should wear long sleeve shirts and gloves when working with it. I'm pretty not a fan of candied apples. Apples are plenty sweet and delicious already. That's true. I guess there's something comforting for me buying a candied apple from a shop. It's something my grandparents would take me to get when I was small. Aw, that's really sweet, Mifune. Kind of a nostalgia thing. I like chocolate bananas. They're sort of related to candied apples yet. Choco banana is amazing. M says I've made candies from scratch and never wore goggles or long sleeve shirts. Oops. That's just your skill, M. That's your skill coming out right there. I suppose they're both candy-covered fruit, though it's a very different sort of candy they use. Meat plus fire equals cooking. Maybe food plus fire equals cooking. I can cook when I have clear and detailed instructions. My girlfriend doesn't eat my cooking. I did see that. True sugar can be very different depending on temperature, but for making candy, you gotta get it up to at least 270 Celsius. Wait, what? 270 Celsius is really hot. Okay, 170 Celsius. 335 Fahrenheit. Okay, yeah. Whoa. Mom's a really good cook. Dinner party at Duke's house. I'm with Zero. Let's go get that dinner. Duke, Fahrenheit has its uses. It's actually better for body temperature, for differentiating body temperature than, Celsius is. You can see variance because of the difference in the degrees being smaller. You can see variance in body temperature a lot easier in Fahrenheit than Celsius. But in most cases, Celsius is better. But anything that you need a smaller variance in, I would recommend Fahrenheit. I'm down for anything that involves free food. Mifune's speaking my language there. Free food. Kelvin is for Lab Zero. Sam, welcome. Oh wow, long time no talk. How have you been? How are you doing today? I'm really glad to hear from you. Celsius has decimals? I mean, you're right, but most thermometers don't. If you look at a thermometer for body temperature and it reads, say, your body temperature is 98 versus 98.4, that's going to be a lot harder to read on a Celsius thermometer. And because most standard thermometers, at least in the US, only go to 1 decimal place. Like I said, Fahrenheit has its uses. Having such a wide variance between the boiling point of water and the freezing point of water, again, has its uses. And it's an easy enough mathematical conversion, and at this point you could just Google it. Sam says, I'm generally good. We got back from the Texas trip and our trans nephew Julian did come back with us and he's doing better. That's great to hear, Sam. How far out did these wings end up going? Also, is it me or is the texture underneath not loading anymore? Why did I just phase through this? Okay, something broke. Now I can't move. Oh, I'm on the ground. I had the wrong menu open. Oh, I love black licorice. Licorice is amazing. I'm also a fan of anything that has a similar taste to licorice. Fennel seeds, obviously licorice root or licorice seeds. Anise, all of those flavors are amazing and tend to be really good in things like tomato sauce, in teas. Fennel seeds especially is amazing in tomato sauce. It gives it a nice sweet flavor on top of the tomato without adding any sugar, and it's just delicious. Things around the house are still hectic and still fighting with United Health about them trying to murder me over a clerical error. I am so sorry, Sam, that you're still going through that. Like, obviously you don't need to, like, go into all the details on stream and everything like that, but I just want to point out that the thing that you're going through with all that is, from what you've told me off stream, is absolutely ridiculous. And I just want to emphasize that the description of you essentially being murdered by the state in this regard is not an exaggeration in any way, shape, or form. We played a recording for Tiff where she asked twice to set up an autopay. They're like, but you didn't say the magic word, so you can... Yeah, basically. M says, I love that their clerical error is somehow your issue. King Cyrus, it is so good to see you. Welcome, welcome to the stream. I'm doing alright. How about you? Hello, Emma, and welcome. Glad to have you here. Sam, I personally don't think anybody here is bummed out in any way, shape, or form for you expressing, the reality of your experience. I think that's an important part of things, and if you're not okay, and in your situation, or anybody here is not okay, then it's definitely something worth talking about, and we can still find joy around that, in my opinion. Not specifically in your pain, but in the ideas around it and wishing you well and everything else. So please don't feel as if you're bumming anybody out. We're here to talk about our mutual struggles, our mutual pains, all of our different needs, as well as have a good time and chill on Sundays. Because if somebody here is not feeling chill, then, you know, let's rally behind them. Yeah, take joy in the act of helping, like Jalix said. That's right, Em. Thank you. The state was the one that's bumming us out. The state's the one doing something wrong. We're a community, folks. We love everyone here. True. True, 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 King Cyrus. We've all got that conditioning, though, you know. Laugh and the world laughs with you, cry and you cry alone. But a lot of my comedy is about the hard stuff, too, like all my anti-fascist comedy. Well, here we don't cry alone. Here we comfort those who are crying and make sure they're not alone. Because that's what we gotta do. If someone needs help feeling chill, I'm sure we're all happy to help. I love that you all are on the same page with that, and I appreciate you all with that. Because honestly, that's what it's about. If someone in your group isn't feeling good today, no matter who it is, then, you know, take care of them. Be there for them. And make it an inclusive space. That's what it's about. Oh yeah, the music sessions on the Discord are definitely a nice chill jam. The stickier the caramel, the better. King Cyrus, I hope you say hi to your girlfriend for me and wish wish her a good day, and I hope she's doing well as well. Oh yeah, Jalix, you didn't know we got the music streaming working. It's at the bottom of the Discord. It's in Groovy Chat. It's okay, honestly. Like, you've been going through your own thing or doing your own thing, that's fine too. I am loving this wing. Wow. You know what? I want to just make a small change here. I'm actually gonna just do this. Yeah, I think I like that better. Nice. Cyrus says I was watching an anarchist stream and she was like based. Nice. I like variety. Let me see if I missed any chat. Because I thought I saw something. Also, Sam, yeah, still the ship. Still working on it. We've been adding like little details here and there, trying to make things look better. M has mastered its operation. This is true. M is master of GroovyBot. Yeah, I'm really enjoying how the wings are coming out. Like, I really like this folded effect on the wing. Kicked after 12 hours inactive. Is that like if I joined it then didn't say anything at all? Yeah, basically. That rule's just there to make sure that if people are new. Yeah, base cat's on the back of the ship. That rule is just basically there to make sure that if people just kind of join and don't say or do anything for a while, that we can just kind of kick them. It's not like they're perma-banned or anything like that. We just want to make sure people aren't coming in and just, like, lurking and not talking or doing anything. But Sam, if it's you, honestly, if you went inactive after talking during the first 12 hours, like, nobody's gonna kick you. Yeah, it's basically to just avoid clutter. How far does this actually go out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23. So somewhere in the range of like a little over 50 to 60 blocks total. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wait, let's start from the bottom, so I can move up easier than 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so this is about 24, and I want it to get to about 55 to 60-ish for the same length, approximately. And this is going to have to taper down from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So it's going to take 22 to taper off into a point. So I can go like another... maybe 5, 6 down. Get it up to about 30. So more like 8 more rows down. And then start tapering. And then it should naturally fold on itself. Also, I want to add like an extra thing in here to kind of make it less even. Well, Hooligan, you could also pick ask about my pronouns if at the moment if that would work better for you. But I have no issue adding a or having one of the mods add an any pronouns option. You could also just pick multiple options for the pronouns, I think. I don't think it's set to be exclusive, so you could just pick multiple. Yeah, Jalix, if you don't mind looking into that. Well, I just want to make sure that you're comfortable, Sam. That's more important than anything else when it comes to stuff like that. So, yeah, my brother is with his partner in Lebanon because what's happening in Gaza and he's waiting for things to cool off there. He was scared because he's been threatened with being fired at the university he teaches at because he teaches and studies ancient Near Eastern history and classics. Some nationalists don't like him. Just kind of scared that you'll break it. You probably won't, Jalix. And if it breaks, we can fix it. But I'm fairly certain you can just pick multiple pronouns. I don't think it's set exclusively. Okay, great. Great, Sam. I'm glad that that worked out for you. Also, yeah, King Cyrus, that is really intense, and I am definitely wishing your brother the best with all that, because that stuff's really, really frightening. Like, possibly losing your job because nationalists are upset with you, like, that starts getting into some serious political issues around education and how we talk about policy and politics. Jalix, Sam was able to add multiple pronouns, so I think it's okay for now. He also has a pro-Palestinian point of view, and that's why they don't like him. Yeah, I imagine that's going to be a thing for a while. Especially with things heating up and being big again. Um, thank you for that. That's the thing also, like, with the anti-academic stance that a lot of people take with stuff like that, the downside is that as we're going through all that, like, you can basically convert anything that's said into propaganda instead of accepting it as being grounded in facts and everything else. It just gets twisted and molded into basically an anti whatever position they want to take up propaganda. It's the problem with not rooting your ideas in, well, the science behind things, the history behind things, and everything else. Sam says the video I'm editing right now includes a bunch of clips of people making those comments because I'm going over your fascism, and I'm at the anti-intellectual part. Oh, so Sam, you're like right on that topic right now. It's also hard because people get so entrenched in their beliefs that it doesn't even matter about right and wrong or about any of that. It just becomes this very, very staunch, this is what I believe, this is all it is, I'm going to ignore the truth, I'm going to ignore the reality of things perspective, and that's not helpful. And that's not me both-siding that situation at all. I very clearly have my own perspective on that, and they hate him because he dispels a lot of the ideas about people who live there, the Israelites, and debunks a lot of the anti-Arab myths spread by the Israeli government. I wish your brother the best of luck with that, because those positions are very intensely entrenched. Authoritarians often try to attack the notion of truth itself. The father of modern conservatism, Edmund Burke, was very cynical against the idea that people can know things, so we shouldn't trust reason. Well, I think when it comes to something like state actors, I think we can often assume the truth is not always the truth. It's about reading between the lies. But when it comes to things, I do believe that there is a such thing as truth, but it's often mixed and misappropriated to whatever's convenient as a narrative for people in power. I don't think you can have truth while you have state actors in quite the way that we tend to think of them in this day and age, especially in a pure nationalist fashion in the way that we often see it. And in any conflict, my default is to take the side of civilians over the state, and my default is to always take the side of people over governments, because governments have power, and people tend to have a lot less power. I'm gonna jump on that, Emma. Your brother does sound like an amazing person, King Cyrus, and I'm glad that he's doing what he's doing. told me stories about Israeli nationalists have confronted him, but my brother's other academic peers defend him, saying he's teaching correct information, not nationalist rhetoric. Good. I'm glad he has that support. And I know it doesn't mean much, because I'm just some random person on the internet, but, he has my support too. I really hope he keeps up the good work. Because we need a lot more people who are teaching the actual history and stories of what's gone on there, and not the mythology that is doing harmful things, that harmful mythological nationalism. Burke tried to argue against traditional institutions and beliefs were more reliable than any conclusions we could arrive at through reason. Burke is also the person who said that the American Revolution was fine, but the French Revolution wasn't. Burke is a weird figure, historically. As with most conservatives, his perspective was convenient when it was convenient. Here's the thing, Zero. Mythologies are important. The stories we tell are important. The narratives that we have tell us a lot about cultures. I don't think mythologies themselves are a problem. The stories we tell us more about our communities than anything else. If you talk about a history that talks about unifying people and bringing people together and overcoming fear, I think that story can be very useful and very helpful to drawing people into a sense of security with one another and feeling camaraderie with each other. And I think if you have a mythology that's centered on only this group gets to be part of things, and where the special ones, that's when you can get a lot of issues, where that rhetoric ends up becoming reductive and harmful to the reality of people around you. That isn't to say that you shouldn't have some sort of culture or identity based in, your own experiences or anything like that, because that can be a useful tool as something against, like, whiteness, for example, or anything else. But when it's used in an exclusionary sense, purely exclusionary sense, it can be reductive and harmful. But I really do feel like the stories we tell are very important, and why we tell them is very important. Cyrus said it's his job. He's kind of a role model for me. He can speak Hebrew, Greek, Sumerian, Latin Sumerian, as well as understanding the writing Akkadian, Ancient Persian, and he can speak Middle Egyptian. It's the job. Oh, wow. That's absolutely impressive. Sam, I absolutely agree with you. The problem with fascism isn't that they like mythology, it's that they value a supremacist mythology over reality. King Cyrus, your brother sounds like a very, very amazing person. Having that much, having the ability to look at and analyze that many languages is a skill. Burke, as a historical figure, was very cynical in both the way we use the term conventionally and the original sense of the term. Oh, absolutely, Mifune. The thing is, Burke's perspective on conservatism was usually like, if something new is being created, then they can shape the rules the way they want to, like the American colonies. But if you have something like France, which has a tradition and has a very staunch history, you shouldn't change that. and that a revolution there would end up being something detrimental. Of course, that's ignoring the reality that there were people on the American continent before the colonialists showed up. So, really, what if Burke was being consistent, he should have asked that all of the colonials adhere to indigenous practices. But that was not an option because he's still a supremacist in his own worldview. That's why, like, when I look at Burke, he is one of the most inconsistent figures of philosophy and conservatism, because who he prioritizes is always, 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 always what's convenient for him at the time in his own political analysis for his own political gain. Duke, you just walked back into a dual conversation where Mifune and I are talking about Edmund Burke, and King Cyrus is telling us about how amazing his brother is, and how he is a educator who is knowledgeable in multiple languages. Not just multiple languages, but like things like Hebrew, Greek, Sumerian, Persian, and Middle Egyptian. And he is coming under fire from nationalists who want to basically say that he's spreading propaganda when he's actually standing up for true historical facts and information to inform his pro-Palestinian point of view. So, a lot of props. Cyrus, your brother's a hero. Keep up the good fight. Oh, I just assumed Latin and Sumerian had a comma between them. He can understand the writings of the Sumerian language. He mostly uses Akkadian translation when he reads Sumerian. Honestly, he is doing great work in that regard, and I very much appreciate that. Listen, everyone, I am gonna run to the bathroom super quick. If you have a revolt against me, I very much welcome them. And I will be back momentarily. Okay. I think Tara diverted the rebellion by saying she supports it. I support any and all non-fascist coups against me. I don't want power. Y'all can take it. Streams for the people. Let me see what happened here. Multiple ancient languages, true. I am Hammurabi, bringer of laws, all bow before my might. He at least tries to convince Israelis in his class about the history of the region and tells them not to use the Bible as a reference to the history. Tara's tyranny must end. The carpet should be eggshell white and not cream white. The rebellion will reign. Okay, Mifune, you've gone too far. Mifune, we're gonna have to squash that rebellion. The law shall state if you make the carpets cream white, you shall have your foot cut off and be forced to pay 1 ounce of silver to anyone who forced to remove. Then I, Hammurabi, shall take it from you. Duke seized power and is making decrees. No, Duke, no monarchical rebellions either. You can't become king. There's only one king here, it's Cyrus. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 33. Okay, we could start to taper off, I think. This world isn't yours to conquer. So, with that said, I kind of want to bring it into the topic at hand for the day while we continue. Namely, now that things are reopening, regardless of the fact of whether or not we think they should, regardless of whether or not we, Sam, I hope you have a good one and take care. Thank you for coming by, and I'm sorry your Firefox is crashing. Enjoy the editing of your video, and I look forward to when it comes out. Definitely keep me apprised. So with this pandemic raging the way that it has and everything else, of course, people are now talking about reopening the economy. Whether we're there or not is irrelevant, but I wanted to throw the question out there. What is it that you want to see as things are reopening? Ignoring, like I said, the idea that it probably shouldn't reopen in certain ways, but like, what changes do you all want to see in the society moving forward in terms of like realistic goals? With people staying home, would like for a lot of their work, what do you foresee? How do you see this turning into like labor issues? What kind of questions do you think are going to be the forefront of this reopening? In terms of labor, in terms of the economy, in terms of society, in terms of the duality of maskers versus non-maskers. And I kind of want to just throw that out to you all to gauge your perspectives and opinions rather than kind of just throw out my ideas at first, at least. open the economy? Are they this desperate? I think they are. There's already a movement for schools to start reopening. YouTube had us covered, just missing masks. I want the masses to be fed up with how they were treated and focus on building a stronger labor movement and fight hard for universal health care. That's a great one, Mifune. That's a great, reasonable goal to start striving for. You know, a lot of these goals are also going to take time. Like, I don't expect them to happen overnight, but I'm hoping that this consciousness from this shift does shift somewhat in that direction. That would be really nice to see. Actually, this should start cutting one off here. One thing that I find good is that people are calling BS on employers over supposed shortages of workers. Unemployment Reddit started posting very base stuff from the southern states. Yeah, I covered that recently, about how it's not the unemployment benefits that are doing all of that, but it's actually a combination of factors, including the idea that because there's no basically for-profit system where it's forcing people into work, unemployment benefits are actually allowing people to negotiate a little bit more instead of it being the usual perspective and opinion that you know, you have to go get a job immediately if you're on unemployment, and how that's basically benefited people who've been able to get access to it. In addition to that change in consciousness and a different desire for jobs, like, the job market has definitely changed. The most optimistic take I have on this is that intervention in handling this crisis creates pressure for intervention in handling the climate crisis as people realize what's possible. That's another great point, Emma. The fact that, you know, this is all tied together with environmental concerns. Especially as we realize that a lot of this was probably caused by some sort of ecological situation. And if we acknowledge that reality, we have to acknowledge that this can not only happen again, but will happen again if we don't start to make a change in policy. I wish people would continue to wash their hands regularly with this reopening. I also wish that people could keep masks. They actually work. I'm terrified with how fast things are reopening. Yeah, me too. Honestly, I also covered this recently. The perspective that opening is a good idea and that we can have vaccinated people not wear masks has not been tested. There's no medical consensus that I've seen that shows that masks plus vaccine versus vaccine alone has been tested and isolated as a factor for safety reasons. So I don't know why the CDC, for example, decided to get rid of masks for vaccinated people. Especially, like, the nurses' unions have all come out and said, we still want masks and social distancing to be involved in our safety procedures. Does it seem odd to anybody that we have more politicians in the US that are self-described democratic socialist than social democrats? That doesn't strike me as odd at all, Mifune. The Overton window in the US is very much to the right. And I think people conflate democratic socialist and social democrats anyway. Like, the difference is not, at least in my experience, fully well understood in that regard. There's also the rapid development and deployment of the vaccine, though. It's possible that people will realize what we're actually capable of. People aren't buying the neoliberal consensus anymore. At least Gen Z is at least starting to question it more and more, which is good. Chile finally seems to be putting to death their neoliberal doctrine. Well, you had Chile, you had, what was the other country and that recently responded? Why am I blanking on that? I think it was... It was Colombia, I believe. That was also having their protest recently. Which, mind you, no US news source was talking about how Colombia was started as an attempt at a general strike, their whole protest. There was so much talk about how, oh, they're just protesting taxes. No, it was like started with a labor strike. Guatemala when they burned their Congress too. True. I don't think, Mifune, that most people realize that social democrats are to the right of democratic socialists. I also think you're underestimating the populism of right-wing policies in the United States, Mifune. I think the distinction between social democrats and democratic socialists is not as important as the policies they represent. Yeah, I'm going to agree with Emma there. The DemSoc and SocDem thing is... DemSoc is kind of a rebranding of the original spirit of social democracy with socialism as a real goal. The US is fully a right-wing country. Neoliberal consensus is the consensus. The status quo is very much tied to neoliberal policies. And neocolonial policies, if we're going to be real about it. Also, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people have grown in a direction where they're kind of fed up with things. For me, I want to see a lot of people start talking about labor rights of staying at home. Um, because I honestly feel like the idea of people working from home will change a lot of conversations about um, the working conditions of what should be available to us as a society. If you talk about, for example, I work at home and therefore my employer should pay for my internet, for example, it can easily go into conversations about how it is that the society itself should be paying for internet, um, and providing something like Wi-Fi for everybody. I think as we stay at home with a lot of our work, there's also going to be questions about, well, how much say does the employer have over our home life? And there's a lot of points where we're going to have to fight and contend against that. What say does the employer have over these arrangements? And I think with the consciousness shift that's occurred and the fact that people can make more money working from home in part-time positions, you're also going to see a movement towards people being a little more mobile in terms of their work life, where people might try to move into jobs that allow them to travel and work and do things that allow them to live their lives and have work be secondary. There's going to be a lot more questions for that. And I think as we also question all of those things, it's going to bring up a lot of the arguments that have been inherent in feminism for a long time about the value of labor in the home itself and how important and significant that is in terms of the society. That's one of the areas that I would definitely like to see a lot more conversation around. Right-wing populists is a minority of the country, but they have more people in power than left populists. I don't think I agree with you, Mifune. I genuinely don't. Right-wing populism and racism is more normal than I think you're acknowledging. I think that for a lot of people, there are specific policies that are left-wing that people would like. People would like universal health care. People would like to have certain things given to them in terms of social programs. They want infrastructure fixed. They want their communities to be better. But I think the rhetoric of racism and fascism and nationalism that is inherent in the way that the country functions does not preclude those types of policies. You can still create a nationalistic policy that is centered around universal health care that ignores the plight of other groups of people. And I think that that is a duality that we have to confront as we're moving forward. A lot of people in the United States, like a lot of the people in the United States would be quite comfortable having, say, universal healthcare, but also having a universal healthcare system that maybe they don't care about who it extends to as long as they get theirs. If you catch what I'm saying with that. And I think that that's one of the things that needs to be fought against immensely right now is the racism and xenophobia and the policies that are tied to all of that. And even if that is coming almost exclusively from a top-down model, people are buying into it hook, line, and sinker. You know, there's a reason why Trump was able to get into office. his policies and rhetoric were centered around this idea of we're going to bring jobs back, we're going to bring all these other ideas back. And people bought it. And with the culture war that's currently going on from the right, I guarantee you there's going to be a movement in that direction. Let me see if I missed anything else. Economies-wise, yes, the US is a fully raccoon country. I said that. I want to see the NDP here in Canada rediscover its full socialist roots. That would be amazing, Duke, honestly. There's a slight movement in that direction with Biden's infrastructure plan covering childcare and such, right? Emma, I do think Biden's policy has a lot of good components to it, but honestly, it does not even reach what I think... Okay, so there's two caveats that I need to put on this. I don't think the policy reaches the level that was originally intended by someone like FDR originally. But I think his policy goes further in terms of making an FDR-like policy racially inclusive than FDR ever intended to create. FDR's policies were very much racist in who got access to it. So I think that there's a trend and a capitulation by the Biden administration to recognize the progressive movement, while at the same time, he's not going to be the person who gives everything that we want or everything that we desire. But the infrastructure plan itself is good if it actually gets implemented effectively. Racism is very normal in the US. Right-wing populism entails more than being racist. Most Americans don't want to shrink our electoral mechanisms. Republican membership has shrunk by half. And Trump never had approval from the majority of the country. The issue is the left needs to be able to mobilize a majority of people who are politically inactive. Mifune, I really think you're downplaying a lot of that rhetoric. There were still sundown towns in the United States. And I think racism plays a lot more of a factor than I think you're giving credit. And I think racism is a huge component of that. I think you're also conflating the elitist perspective with the racist perspective. There is multiple aspects of the intersectionality, and I am not convinced that the mixture of classism and racism will not manifest in a right-wing form of nationalism and xenophobia. Also, Trump didn't need the majority of the country. The fact that people stayed home during the elections and didn't consider that means he had the majority of the country, as far as I'm concerned. There were enough people comfortable with the status quo that they weren't mobilized to politically change anything, or to try to create some sort of electoral change. Even though I know electoral change isn't our end goal as leftists, you know, where we're at, where we're dealing with reality, the fact that enough people said, I can stay home, that only 2/3 of the country came out to vote in an election like that, says to me that enough people were comfortable regardless of the status quo that it didn't bother them. That's not a mobilized left, that's a capitulation to the status quo. Even if you had some people objectively denying to vote because of, say, an anarchist principle, and leftist principles. In the UK right now, the Tories are rhetorically more open to state intervention in social programs and spending a while upping the populist culture war stuff already. It's very worrying. That's where I'm getting at it, Emma. the idea that they're focusing on culture war and have already given up on the fascist, like the extremist fascist rhetoric in terms of the political programs, that they're willing to capitulate on some level to provide social safety nets for people, reeks of the kind of nationalism that is much more important. They're taking one step backwards to take two steps forward. And it's something that has historical precedence. King Cyrus says, I think so, Emma, but I've heard Biden dropped a letter. Oh, yeah, I read that already. Sorry. You know, there's also too many leftists that I've seen, Mifune, who are willing to make arguments where it's like, we can team up with essentially fascists and racists for these policies. And they're quite comfortable making that exchange, especially white leftists. I think where we disagree is that you're downplaying how much of that affects the window of things. Many people who don't vote come from more of a place that they will be screwed over no matter what who's in power rather than being comfortable. I don't agree with you. I have heard too many people saying I don't care who I vote for because I don't care what the outcome is. It's not so much I don't care who's in power because I'm screwed either way, but it's I don't that's a very in the leftist circles that we're in online, that's very obvious. Like, that's the general perspective of most leftists online. But the majority of people that I have talked to and experienced conversations with, when I ask them, well, why didn't you vote? Because there's no reason to vote. Because it's not going to make a difference, and I'm fine with the way things are. And that's a disturbing trend. And I know that's anecdotal, but it is something that I have experienced and noticed, not just recently, but for a while. There's a tendency to move in the direction of people being comfortable enough with the status quo or thinking they don't have the power to change things. And I don't know if that's necessarily, going to fix things going forward. I'm sorry, Mifune, I definitely have. I think we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on this one. Some people are just very satisfied to have gotten the little bit that they have, and they don't want to see it slip away. They don't want to rock the boat, and they're comfortable with that. King Cyrus, Emma, Labour Party is trying so desperately to bring back Tony Blair, and it's pathetic. Oh, yeah. Emma posted about some stuff about that in the Discord about that. In the UK right now, the Tories are rhetorically more open to state intervention. Cyrus says, my girlfriend said they have this in Sweden. They're called the Herrenvolk, and they are fine with social democrats. Don't I know it? Meanwhile, Blair himself is following his conservative friends and giving interviews about being anti-woke or whatever, both parties moving further right. It's becoming more about the culture war than the policies. Because they know that if they win the culture war, they can retract things. They've done it before. And it just, to me, strikes as a movement in the direction of trying to capitulate, like, to labor movements to try to give them small victories and gains so that you can just hand off a little bit of power in exchange for people kind of giving in. Jalix, it was really good having you here. I hope you have a great night. Rest well. I don't think Starmer will last another year, but he'll most likely be replaced by someone more openly right-wing. I don't know, I just want out of this country. Oh, I don't blame you, Emma. This is why it's so important to organize locally and build community connections. Also why we need to work on meeting people where they are and bringing the zeitgeist to the left. That's the thing, Duke. I completely agree with you. Politics is the last step because politicians always follow the crowd. Oh, I completely agree with that. If you can get people on board with that type of policy, you're going to make a lot of good change. The goal really needs to be to get people to communicate with each other and not to have them rely exclusively on these things, like politicians. Politicians, if they are on our side, should be working within our communities and helping to foster the things that people in the community are already talking about and what they need. And any politician that's willing to do that is someone I'm willing to stand by and support while we're here. And I think Carr put out a really good video recently where he talked about how, considering the majority of people have come out and think Biden is actually doing a great job, how do we meet people where they're at? If we're dismissing things like their excitement and joy over Biden entering into power, and what he's been doing in terms of infrastructure, are we actually making change or are we just alienating people? And I think we need to continue to just talk to people where they're at and get comfortable with the idea that we may not be prepared for the left wing, like full left shift. Not that we shouldn't, adhere to our principles or continue to talk about our realities and talk about the very real positions that we have as leftists. But when we're talking to people that are maybe not on the left, meet them where they are and be able to have a conversation with them, get to know them, explore their reasonings for things, find out where their complaints are, and see if you can talk through things with them and, again, just meet them where they're at. Not everybody is going to be prepared to make the jump all the way into left thinking, but if you can help somebody see some of their own positions in a different way, I think that you're doing a service to leftist thought. And that's why even though I'm an anarchist and I don't particularly think that we should have a state or that we should have electoralism, and that's not the way to go in the long run, It's why I will sit here and still defend things like, I don't know, defend the rights of people of color to vote in the US right now. Because you know what? That's a major issue that a lot of people have come out and found to be something that is important to them. Having the vote denied, like, how problematic is that? And if we're not willing to defend those positions that people are finding very important to them, then what are we doing? Are we really being democratic, or are we talking down to people? Like, I'm not here to be an elitist and make it all about my perspectives and where I think things should go. I'm here to support people and to talk about where they're at and their movements. And the majority of people are not there. And that doesn't mean that I'm gonna stop, talking about the perspectives of racism and sexism and everything else in the country. That just means when I'm talking to people, I'm gonna hear them where they're at too. And sometimes that means dealing with electoralism. Sometimes that means dealing with things that don't seem to be quote-unquote anarchist. But to me, it's the most anarchist perspective, and I think it reeks of privilege sometimes when I hear people say, well, I'm not going to vote, for example, or I don't think voting does anything, when some sections of the population can't even vote. And that's something they want and that they're calling for. The vote is a very tiny bit of power that we have. They're trying to take that from us. Yeah, and we have to protect that as well. I don't think it's enough to just sit there and say, oh, well, the vote doesn't get us anything and all this stuff, that we shouldn't do electoralism. No, if they're taking the vote from us, that's a very real thing that affects our lives, especially on the local political levels, especially like in the southern United States right now. Local elections can be changed by a handful of votes. And if you make it so that people of color can't vote in their churches on Sundays, you change the dynamic. When you get rid of the souls to the polls voting, when you get rid of all of these policies that are generally beneficial for people to be able to make that small change, especially in their local governments. Because in the local governments, the voting does have an impact. Even if we're dealing with politicians and representative democracy, voting does change things. And I think it's foolish not to recognize that. And I'd like to see more where local communities are doing things on their own, but, if we start with where people are comfortable and we say, well, wouldn't you like childcare collectives, and wouldn't you like to have something like this or something like that implemented, people are going to register that and they're going to hear that. They're going to acknowledge the things that they want also, and if you show up and you're there for people, people are going to be more amenable to listening to what you want to say and have to say. And I don't mean that like in a cynical way where it's like, oh, like you should do it to manipulate people. Hell no. Be there because it's what people want and where they need to be in the moment. And if you show up for people and you care about people and your goal is about people, that's going to show through. People recognize when you're fake. People recognize when you're just there to convert people. This isn't proselytizing. This is showing up and being like, I'm here for you. How can I help? I would be more of a practicing anarchist, for want of a better term, if there was a strong movement that was like a realistic alternative. But until then, I'll keep harm reduction voting. Yeah, I'm with you, Emma. I'm absolutely with you there. I know there's very good arguments for not adhering to harm reduction, and I'm not, like, crapping on anybody who doesn't think their vote should do anything. Like, I understand the objections. I'm versed well enough in that understanding that I get it. I just don't agree with it right now. I think it had a lot more validity historically. But that isn't to say that I don't think people who have done that or chosen that perspective are invalid in any way, shape, or form. And Narcopic and Zoe Baker made great points. You're making too in a video. I'm not familiar with them. Actually. I think the best way to do this is to create and join local clubs and events. Create your community with those immediately around you if possible. Okay, I think I've read that. I'm just making sure I read everybody else. If you want a vision of how the Democratic Party would look if Sanders won the nomination, look at Labour under Corbyn. Interesting. That's an interesting perspective, Emma. I'm going to have to look more into that. Many people aren't there, but if you can give them a little push, yes, we have to deal with electoralism of where we are. Yeah. I love this music. I know I say that at least like 5 times a stream, but this music is just so chill. Instead of childcare collective, say something like neighborhood childcare. I mean, Mifune, even AOC talks about childcare collectives. I don't think that's a dirty word. But if that's something that works within your circle or community, definitely go with it. Use the language that's gonna work. Like, I'm not knocking what you're saying at all. I just don't know if that's a dirty word at the moment. But I also think it depends where you're at, because in a place like New York with AOC, you know, she might be able to get away with saying childcare collective, but if you're in another location, you might, that's a little more conservative, you might want to say something like neighborhood childcare. So I'm with you on that. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that, Mifune. Like, again, it's about meeting people where they're at. And in the South, there's definitely, that word collective is probably really scary for a lot of people. But it's a good recommendation for anybody who's concerned about like concerned about what their like their work not being amenable to the people around them. The ideas are far more important than the label, as far as I'm concerned, is what I'm getting at. So I'm completely with you there. Electoralism is a great place to find and connect with politically minded people who you may be able to convince of more left policies, though you're developing relations with them. True. In the South, you got to be very specific. One way my friend down south discussed socialism was through Jesus and the church, actually. Yeah, that's the thing also, that is very much worth keeping in mind. Having a open mind about especially the aspects of Christianity in the United States and how to talk about Christian anarchism is really important. Jesus is a good embodiment of that. And again, it's about the right people, the right ambassadors talking about the right things to the right group of people to talk about how community was formed around Christ, for example. How Christ stood up to the Roman government. It's definitely a valid tactic. I'm thinking liberation theology is the best tactic. Am I wrong? Counterbalance right-wing evangelicals. It's not a bad idea. No, liberation theology was a great tool to turn Catholicism more left in Latin America. So there's no reason why there couldn't be a shift and movement of liberation theology and kind of using the idea of that in the US South as well. I don't see why that's in any way mutually exclusive. Like, that's actually a great tactic as far as I'm concerned. There's a lot of people who would otherwise adhere to more conservative principles that might be able to be moved a little bit more left on certain issues via liberation theology. I mean, you literally had a situation in Latin America where some of the cardinals down there and some of the members of the Catholic Church were talking about criticizing U.S. policy in Latin America and places like Guatemala for a while. What the heck is his name? Give me a second. Cardinal... Was it Romero? In El Salvador, Oscar Romero. He very much spoke against the U.S. position in El Salvador for a long time, to the point where I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was definitely Romero. Okay. Like, there were a lot of instances in Latin America where there was a movement in the direction of having the Catholic Church actually defend more leftist perspectives, where the US government's policy and media reporting ended up presenting this, like, both sides argument. Romero was talking about how it was right-wing agitators that were tied to the nationalism of the government and that was causing the issues. If you could turn something like the Catholic Church in Latin America to be more left-leaning, there's no reason why that type of policy wouldn't work in the US South. Oh, what is the name of that movie, Mifune? I know what movie you're talking about. I just don't know the name of it. Liberation theology from an evangelical Protestant perspective. Funny thing is liberation theology probably has more in common with Protestantism than it does with Catholicism, if you really boil it down. Which is kind of funny. Was the title literally just Romero? There wasn't like a subtitle to it? I thought there was a subtitle. I could be mistaken. In Uganda, many Catholic priests were defending many LGBTQ people when they passed those horrible laws in 2012 that I think are still in effect. True. Absolutely true. There we go. Both wings are done. I'm probably gonna add some detail, but to kind of shape it out a little bit, because this is a little thin. But I kind of like this. What do you all think? Yeah, I really like this. I'm actually a little worried the left wing's a little bit bigger than the right, but that's okay. So since we finished this wing, which I'm very happy about, I'm just going to add a few extra like layers in to thicken it out. And then I want to put some furniture on this ship. And then we'll have accomplished our goal for the day. Merchants, welcome. Glad to see you here. I hope you had a good time. They look more wing-esque than wingy. That's funny. Uh, I think I'm gonna want to add one here because that spot especially looks very thin. Just fill out some of these spaces so it doesn't look so frail. Let's throw in a few extra layers here as well. There we go. That's a little bit better. Honestly, it just looks like this one, to me, isn't fully outstretched because of how thick the layering is. And then this one is kind of fully outstretched down. Like, this one looks like it could still kind of, like, push outward. So I kind of like that effect, actually. Even though this one looks a little longer. I'm good with that. Like, it kind of looks like the wing is in mid-motion. What happens when the ship's done? I have no idea, Mifune. I will worry about when the ship's done when the ship's done. One could say, as Zero pointed out earlier, that I'm winging it. That said, with the wing done, I am going to go use the bathroom. When the ship's done, it means she's beaten Staxel. True. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Everyone in the town's like, why is our neighbor building godly monuments? I'm gonna run to the bathroom again super quick, and when I get back, I'm gonna work on furnishing the ship for the rest of the time and talk about whatever politics you all have. So I will be right back. And we are back. What did I miss? Everyone, let's see. Tara has to become Base Cat in order to beat Staxel. That music fade out though, perfect timing. This game knows something. This game is self-aware. It literally faded out as soon as you began to talk. It knew. See, that was Base Cat's doing. I think I am gonna... How high up can I go? Because I am really tempted to build a wormhole. Because where is the ship supposed to go? It has to go up into a wormhole somewhere. I want to furnish the ship first today, but I'm thinking next time that's going to be a goal. Maybe like somewhere up here somewhere, so that it looks like the ship could just fly out into the wormhole. This game has a lot of vertical height. I do mean the Celestial Temple of the Prophets. It's about meeting people where they're at. My character is a Kryptonian. You can thank Base Cat for that. I have to feed the pets. Why do I have potatoes? Pet food and pet food. Yeah, I know you're hungry. You want your nom-noms. They still had food. You have to make sure the ship is safe from attacks from the Mario Bros. The Mario Bros have nothing on Base Cat. Base Cat is not weak like Koopa. You make sure the chickens and the other farm animals are fed. Chickens still have food, but I'll fill them. Is it me, or does the Mario mythos have much more popularity than its actual story warrants? Probably true. I think Kirby's better. Kirby's got a hell of a lore. Hey, Bo. Let's see, we've got crates. We're gonna need lots of crates in the ship. And we need barrels. Every time I say, hey, Bo, I think he showed up in chat before I remember. If Bo showed up in my chat, I don't know how I would respond. I'd be like, go get on my stream, please. Share your wisdom with me. Why the hell does Mario even have powers? It makes no sense. I have no idea. It's like watching Pokemon and all of a sudden Pokemon start fighting like DBC characters. That's true. Okay, now this is supposed to be the captain's quarters. So I need blocks, and I am going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3. So right here, I'm gonna add. Actually. Cameron? 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you know, yeah, that actually works. Add the second floor here. Mario's a working class icon. But he's also associates with the monarchy. He's a complex figure. According to Nintendo, he's no longer a plumber, by the way. So he's no longer working class. He has full-blown become a member of the monarchy. Pikachu never evolving into Raichu pissed me off to this day. It's been years. Let him evolve. But Pikachu doesn't want to evolve. They made a whole point about that, too. Pikachu's like, no, I want to be a Pikachu. I'm just... the way they executed him becoming a hero with powers doesn't justify a suspension of disbelief. Yeah, Pikachu's happy just being Pikachu. I never followed Digimon, honestly, King Cyrus. I'm pretty sure Pikachu's gender is never confirmed? Question mark? Well, I don't know what Ash's Pikachu's gender is, actually. Yeah, Digimon felt like a knockoff to me also. I'm pretty sure she's canonically female as well, but I'm not 100% on that. I enjoyed Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though in hindsight it was completely over the top and kind of ridiculous. I'm sure Pokemon are used as a food source. Pokemon certainly eat each other. There's definitely an understanding that, like, Pidgey, for example, eat Caterpie. There we go. That's one staircase. And let's line that up. That's how many off the wall? 1, 2 off the wall. Or rather 3 off the wall. And then 1 space. So 2. Ash's Pikachu in the cartoon is male. Dude, you guys just said it's a hologram like Kaiba acted like he was killed when Exodia blasted. That's the thing that always struck me as funny about Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like they're fighting with holograms, but it's somehow real. Also, like, ancient Egyptian magic was able to make these monsters come out of stone tablets that are now manifesting as real creatures that somehow are tied to a spirit world, and there's like Atlanteans that exist. Like, what even is Yu-Gi-Oh? You were shallow, you liked the way the cards looked. Oh, I don't blame you for that. The cards were cool. Like, the whole thing was cheesy and cool at the same time. Okay, we have this. So, I actually would like to break that. Get rid of that cloud bunk. So I think what I would like to do is make back here like a little storagey thing. And then put shelving. And then some sort of desk. What do we got here? I think that works, actually. No. Not feeling that. Let's go with the wooden desk. What, I need a chair for the desk? I like that. Now, is there any sort of like... You know what, let me look through some of these to see what kind of decoration I could put up on the walls here. They don't have like a pirate flag. Do they have any sword or something? Like a sword decoration? A replica sword. Can I hang that on the wall? Apparently not. I kind of like that, though. Oh, what'd I miss? Anyone playing Resident Evil Village? I have not. I wish Shallow. I just loved the way the cards look and how dramatic the battles were in the show. I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I didn't think I ever saw the show. Yeah, the card game was nothing like the show in the first season, and then the second season kind of just added rules, which were actually based on the card game itself, and it was really funny. The show was intense, many nani moments. True. I like the early seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh, but a lot of the shows get so convoluted as they continue. I felt like Yu-Gi-Oh was able to hold its own until Yugi actually left the show. When they started going into the new series, I lost interest. Hey Arnold aged like a fine wine. Great every season. I wish there was a Hey Arnold anime and card game some. Hey Arnold was amazing. Arnold was such a great character. And don't get me started on Yu-Gi-Oh! EX. There was literally a guy who revealed his deck of cards, and he was wearing said vest like a suicide bomber. What? What even is EX? I lost interest when they started doing the weird dice. They were only dice for like 3 episodes 0. Anchor. Could put one of these on each side. Two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's better. Do we have something that could... A bed. What kind of beds do we have here? You know what, let's go with the double. I need more light. There we go. I'm also going to make a small shift. I'm going to move this upstairs. Have a good night, Emma. Thank you for coming by. Let's see, put an antique bookshelf row here. Put one of these here. Victorian side tables. We can have two little nightstands. see. And put a dresser on that one. Let me see how that looks at the foot of... Oh no, that doesn't fit. Okay. Is there one that goes through the wardrobe on this side? Now I want to take this and put this downstairs instead of these. And... oh, it won't let me overlap them, so no, that won't work for what I was trying to do. Yeah, there was a short arc where they played a game similar to Duel Monsters, but with dice. It was Dungeon Dice Monsters was what it was called. It was kind of absurd, actually. And you could, like, move through a maze, and you had to move your dice through the maze. Did I overwrite my hammer? I totally overwrote my hammer. Yeah, Mifune says, I have to start prepping something for dinner, so I'll be available to host something on the server later. Thanks for having me here. Well, thank you for coming out here. Mifune, it was lovely to have you. Take care. What did I want to do? I want to figure out if there's any sort of table that I can put in here that would form like a conference table type thing, or like a meeting spot. Like ones that I could overlap next to each other. I don't know if the game would allow for something like that. That would work, actually. Let me move that over slightly. 1, 2, 4. It has 5 spaces. That's perfect. So I can do it 1, 2. And then I can put a chair. There we go. We have a captain's quarters. I want to see where this is in terms of the outside of the ship, because a window here would be nice. Maybe even a few windows. That is not what I wanted to do. Okay, that one's a bad spot for a window. As is this. But I can easily add... I did that. And that. Okay, game. I can add 3 windows in here. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Books. I wonder if I could make this look the way I want. Oh, all of these are backwards. Whoops. I think it'll come out the way I want it to. Books. Oh, that's frustrating. That is immensely frustrating. That would take a long time to do. But at the very least, we got the captain quarters started and looking good. So we got some furniture on here. We added a bunch of crates here. And we finished the wing. We also talked a good deal about post-pandemic life, more so than one could have expected to at this current time. I am tempted to add a second door here. Oh no, that's a bad idea, because that's where the bed is. Never mind. That's fine. I feel like we made a lot of progress today. I think I might want to put... Will these go into... No, they won't. Okay. I think I might wrap it up here. Because I feel like we accomplished a lot. We can work on furnishing the rest of the inside of the ship today. I'm still loving these wings. And now, when we end the day, we can actually end the day right here in the captain quarters. So, I want to thank you all for coming out and having a great conversation with me today. It's been quite lovely. Thank you again for everything. If you're someone new, definitely feel free to give this video or the stream a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe if you feel so inclined to check out more of my content. I hope you all have a lovely evening. If you are in any way, shape, or form looking for a community, definitely check out the Discord, and you can follow me on Twitter. Our Discord is lovely, and we have all sorts of events like book clubs, and we watch stuff together, and it's a wonderful experience. Also, if you are in a place to do so financially, please do feel free to give me either a single donation or a Patreon donation. I would appreciate either, but you are under no obligation to do so, and only please do so if you are financially able to do so. Anything is appreciated, but again, not necessary. That said, thank you all again for coming out. I hope you all have had a lovely Sunday or whatever day you happen to be watching this if you're watching the VOD. And with that said, my name is Anarchist Tara, and I really appreciate you coming out and watching.